Presiding Officer, in the programme for government, the First Minister reaffirmed the welcome commitment to dual the A96 as between Inverness and Aldern, including the Nairn bypass. In November last year, the then Transport Secretary assured this chamber that the necessary statutory orders, compulsory purchase and ancillary roads, would be made in a matter of weeks. Nearly a year later, my constituents, Presiding Officer, are still waiting. Will the First Minister therefore ask the Transport Secretary to bring an oral statement to Parliament to explain why there has been such a further delay? The good people of Nairn, and indeed of the whole of the north of Scotland, are surely entitled to know what is, or is not, going on.
First Minister.
The people of Inverness and, of course, of Nairn are absolutely due an update, and I'm more than happy to consider a ministerial statement, but perhaps, if it's more appropriate, an update, a written update to the member, to other members who've got an interest in relation to the A96. And our, of course, commitment remains, our manifesto commitment remains, the dualling of the 96, in particular the Inverness to Nairn bypass. For reasons that are known to Fergus Ewing, there is a review outside of the Inverness to Nairn section. There is a review of options that is being taken place for a number of reasons, including our commitments to climate obligations. But Fergus Ewing is absolutely right. We are duty-bound to give updates to members of the public in relation to our infrastructure projects, including the A96. So I will give consideration to the ask that Fergus Ewing makes and decide what is the most appropriate way to update him, members of this chamber and members of the public, on our latest plans in relation to the A96.
Jamie Green.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Very tragically, last year there were 174 fatalities on Scotland's roads. That's increased 23% year on year, and it's actually at its highest level since 2016. I'm sure many of us in this chamber and our constituents have been touched by many of these tragic accidents. But, First Minister, that's also against the backdrop of a 14% drop in police road traffic officers over the last decade. Many prominent road safety campaigners say there clearly is a link, as does the Scottish Police Federation. Does the First Minister share my concerns and the concerns of road safety campaigners about these tragic statistics, and what is the Scottish Government going to do about them?
First Minister.
I absolutely agree with Jamie Green that any life lost is tragic, and my condolences go out to every single family, every single community that's been impacted by a death on our roads. What I would say to Jamie Green is, when it comes to Police Scotland, we have, of course, increased funding to Police Scotland this financial year, significant increase to Police Scotland in terms of their resource budget, and of course we'll continue to consider what more we can do to support Police Scotland. But we also know that interventions, capital interventions on our roads can be quite important, whether that's signage, whether that's the appropriate speed cameras, whether it's any other intervention, and we'll consider what more we can do to make our roads as safe as possible. We have very ambitious targets in relation to reducing those deaths on our roads, and as I'll ensure that the Cabinet Secretary writes to Jamie Green with further detail on action we're taking in this regard.
And Mark